Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today in this video I am going to be sharing with you how I made a corset top dress. And if today is the first time on here, please click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. For this video I'm going to be making use of this sequin fabric, which is going to serve as the skirt part of the dress. This is going to be the upper part, as you could have seen in the beginning of this video. This is what I use to decorate the corset. Then I have this line here to decorate the lines, and I have this as well for the boning. I have my bra cups, and I have a zipper as well as a matching thread. So guys, to start off this tutorial, I went ahead to cut out the half length of the dress, but I removed 6 inches from the upper part, and the remaining length is 18 inches, but I cut this out with 19 inches because the extra 1 inch is what I'm going to use as the stitching allowance. So the 6 inches I left up here is because of the fact that this dress is going to be a tube corset. It's not going to have a shoulder, so this 6 inches is what would have been the shoulder part, which I have decided to remove. So this is what I'm going to use now to cut out this front part of this dress. So guys, the next thing I went ahead to do was to measure out all my vertical measurements, still taking note of that 6 inches I left at the top. So I measure out my bust line at 10 inches, and right now I'm taking my under bust measurement at 13 inches. So guys, after marking this out, so this place here is kind of serving like the chest line, bust line, under bust line, and right here is the waistline. So the next thing I had to do was to divide the bust measurement by 4, and I marked it on the bust line, under bust measurement by 4, marked it also on the under bust line, and the waist measurement by 4 as well. I went ahead to add 1 inches to all the measurements I had, and the next thing I went ahead to do was to make a curve to meet the chest line. So this is what I have. So guys, to get the corset part of this dress, basically what I did was to mark 1 inch away from the up here, as you can see, and I went ahead to extend the line to get to the bust point like this, and then I placed my cup on it a little bit above the under bust line, as you can see, and I slanted it a little bit. And next thing I went ahead to do was just to trace out this along the curve cup on the actual fabric. So this is what the curve looks like. Next thing I'm going to do now is up here, I'm going to measure 1 inch away from the side of the dress like this, and I'm just going to curve it all the way to where my cup line ended to give me the armhole. So I also went ahead to mark out my dart point here using half of my nipple to nipple measurement. So this is going to be where the dart will be. I'm just going to cut out along the lines that I make now. And while cutting this, I initially made a mistake by not adding some extra allowance to this part, but I later did it on this other part. This is going to be what I will use to stitch the actual fabric to the corset. So what I did was to bring back the corset cup, and I cut out this long part here exactly the same length as the corset. So this is what the fabric looks like after I finished cutting the front pattern. I just placed it on the back, leaving some extra allowances in front that is going to serve as the zipper allowance, and I just cut it out. So basically I used the front pattern to cut out the back. So now I have my front and back patterns. I went ahead to stitch down all the darts for both the front and the back pieces, and then I measured out my cup, and after measuring out my cup measurement, I just cut out a piece of fabric like this that is wide enough to cover my cups, and what I did was to go down by 1 inch on both sides, both ends, as you can see me doing like this. And I just made a rough curve, as you can see, and I'm just going to cut it along this edge. I made 4 of these for the 2 cups that I have, and after which I'm just going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch it along this edge. So guys, I'm done stitching it up, and this is what it looks like. This is very wide, is way bigger than the actual cup. So what I'm going to do is to use this to cover up my cup like this, and you're going to ensure you can actually decide on where you want the line on the cup to be. Somewhere, if you want it to be somewhere at the top, somewhere at the bottom, somewhere in the middle, it depends. So I always prefer to hold this down with my sewing needle and thread, because I feel like it's easier that way. So I'm just going to hold it down with my needle and thread. So I have already held it down, as you can see, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine now, and I'm going to stitch it down. So it's all stitched down, and this is what it looks like. I went ahead to remove the hand needle and thread that I used initially. I removed the thread, and what I'm going to do now is to just cut along the white corset. Just ensure that you don't cut the actual corset, just cut the excess materials on the side. So this is what it looks like. I've done it for the both front and back pieces. Went ahead to seal up the upper part using the same fabric like a bias, and this is how they look like. Guys, next thing I'm going to do is to use my bias tape to create a casing for the boning. So I'm going to use this right here, and I'm going to stitch it here on the side on top of this dart, and I'm going to do it on the other dart as well, and I will do it on both darts as well as right in the middle. So I've stitched down the bias tape at the back, and this is what it looks like. Next thing I went ahead to do before attaching this boning was to also attach the gold designs my customer wanted in front of the lines like this, so you can see how it looks. After which I went ahead to stitch my cups right to the actual fabric. So I went ahead to stitch it on the sewing machine, and did that for the both parts. So this is what it looks like after I've stitched it down, and this is how the back looks like. So I'm going to actually stitch down this part of I'm going to fold it up with a bias to ensure that it's neat. So it's done, and this is how the back now looks like. So the corset part is a little bit neater than it was earlier. So now I'm just going to place the boning along those casing I made earlier, and after which I'm going to cut it off on the ends, but I made sure it's not exactly at the end of the fabric so that it doesn't break my needles when I'm sewing. After that, I went ahead to cut out the skirt part of those dress with the sequin fabric that I had, and I cut out the front and the back pieces. And next thing I went ahead to do was to attach the upper parts of this to the skirt part. And for the design, I went ahead to attach the first one on one of the corset, and this other one I am going to have to manipulate it to look a little bit like this, if not exactly, because right now it doesn't have the same design. So that's basically all for this tutorial, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section if you found it helpful. I would absolutely love to hear from you guys, and if you have not subscribed, please click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell as well, so you get notified whenever I post a new video. If you don't already know, here on this channel I share sewing tutorial videos, and I share African fashion and styles. So if you're looking for styles as well, this is a place for you to be. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate. I will see you in the next video. My name is Osereme. Bye bye.